Book Summary. Psyched Up. How does the science of mental stimulation help you succeed? Written by Daniel McGinn. This book amazes you by mentioning ways to increase focus, enhance confidence, and remove our negative feelings before doing any work, whether difficult or easy, from a musical performance on stage or surgery in the hospital. And it will answer us interesting questions such as how can music help people improve their performance? Can focusing on competitors help improve performance? What are the types of enthusiastic talkers that influence the listener? When psychologists and sociologists began to take a closer look at what helps us put our minds and emotions in optimal condition before we perform any task, they found people often betray us and end up doing wrong things, like if you get nervous when playing the piano in front of an audience on stage, even though you are a professional at playing it, but by following some practices, we can really get good results. And do not waste our opportunities due to stress or anxiety. The first step is to follow the following chapters. Chapter 1. You must resist the adrenaline rush and remain calm. Noah Chayama grew up in Ohio. And when he was 2 years old, he even played the violin. He began appearing on television at the age of 6. He became an experienced musician, and one day he had to perform a piece of music on stage. But he was struck by fear and a mixture of incomprehensible feelings. Nevertheless, he performed well. This event prompted you to play daily. However, he experienced signs of anxiety, such as sweaty hands, which led him to feel that he could not play well. When Kageyama was 20, he took a class called Performance Improvement for Musicians, where he learned that backstage stress is an inevitable part of a musician's life, and if he couldn't eliminate it completely, he could systematically develop his skills to overcome it. Later, he majored in psychology and taught a class, Performance Improvement for Musicians. One day, he wanted his students to feel tense and under pressure, so he took a camera and told them that he would record 60 seconds for each of them and send the clips to the college dean. But in reality, he was recording 90 seconds for them, and the goal of this experiment was to immerse them in a real experience in which they could control their emotions in a limited time, as happens to any musician who is committed to the rules of the theater and his limited time. On the practical side, anyone can focus on themselves in less than 10 seconds through a number of practices, which are first, focus on one clear goal. For example, I will convince this buyer to sign a contract. Secondly, choose a focal point, which is a distant and unimportant point with which tension and excess energy will be eliminated later. And thirdly, breathe slowly, close the eyes, and gradually relax the muscles, starting from the head to the bottom of the body. Fourth, look for the center of the body, which is the spot below the navel and abdomen, to focus on. Calms the mind. Fifth, choose a motivating phrase for the brain and direct excess energy to the goal. Now let us learn about the benefit of daily routines and rituals to help achieve goals. Chapter 2. A daily routine can really help you achieve success. Sports psychologists have conducted numerous studies on what athletes do before matches, and they have found that people who use a daily routine perform better than those who do not. This is based on 3 interconnected ideas: pre-performance routines and rituals. Some studies on pre-performance routines have been myths, for example, of the time divers spend before jumping. It was found that divers who spent more time performing a number of routine activities before jumping achieved better results. Some studies were used on athletes who did not use the routine before performing, and the results concluded that athletes who follow a daily routine perform better. It has been shown that routine helps increase focus, attention, motivation, feelings of optimism and activity, and reduces distractions. Rituals are soothing, reassuring, relieve anxiety, and provide a sense of control and self-efficacy. For example, NASCAR crew chief now keeps a bonsai tree in his office. He had been working with Jimmy Johnson for 4 years, but he never won the cup that year. Nouse was so busy that he forgot to water his plant and it died. At the same time, Johnson failed in the race and was eliminated from the competition. Nabte's death and Johnson's loss became linked in your mind, Taus, as concomitant events. Later, his assistant bought him a similar plant. It became his weekly ritual to water the plant, cut its dried leaves, and bury them in the ground. It seems like a magical ritual, but it forces Nouse to take a break and calm down in the midst of a busy day to catch his breath. Since then, Johnson has won 7 NASCAR championships and set 5 straight track records. The third type is myths, which are irrational events that lack logic. A superstitious person is likely to have a deep, irrational belief that action influences or determines the outcome of an event or game. He must apply his superstitious belief so that he does not fail to achieve the result he desires. For example, neurosurgeon Mark McLogan prefers to give medications in ratios ending in round numbers. My number was 19. Chapter 3. Talk that arouses emotion is one of the best methods of mental stimulation. See. Yelp has launched a website that connects people with local businesses and enables consumers to write ratings and reviews. Arik loved the site and contacted the company about her new job as a sales representative. She was soon promoted to sales manager and then one promotion after another until she became Eudora's first vice president of domestic sales. One morning, 650 sales representatives, most of them in their 20s, were waiting for her. She had to motivate them to sell as many ads as possible. She told them that she was very impressed by how large the group was, and that success depends on the mind and talent. She encouraged them by saying that all the people who told us no all month long will be getting yes from them. Erica's approach is called motivational language theory and suggests that leaders who give motivational speeches use 3 types of rhetoric. The first is giving information about how to carry out the task. The second is the manager's emphasis on the importance of the team and the organization's legacy. And the third is emotional language that shows interest in individuals and their performance through praise, encouragement, and thanks. The 4th chapter. It is necessary to identify the type of music that stimulates your inner self. You may have noticed that most football players wear headphones when they get off the bus or just before the match. Music is the most common tool used by athletes when preparing for matches, and it was also a part of warfare. The drums were a signal for the attack. In the early 2000s, the use of music to help people perform better became more widespread due to technological development and the spread of smart devices such as iPods and widely available music services such as iTunes. Music has a unique quality, that is, the ability to link the appropriate tone for each event and change it with the change of the event itself. The appropriate type of music for the task you are performing makes concentration higher and vitality greater. This is not new. Factory and factory managers used music a century ago. They used cheerful music to maintain workers' activity and speeding up work. But the studies ignored the acoustic environment surrounding the workplace. Because what motivates women to wear headphones and listen to music is to reduce the noise surrounding the work environment, but in the case of working in a quiet place such as a library, for example, music is less important. Chapter 5. You can control your mind, which helps you have self-confidence, regardless of the circumstances. Research shows a direct link between trust and performance. That's why psychological science focuses on self-talk to build confidence. Many people tend towards negative self-criticism or pessimism. Psychologists seek to prevent them from this behavior by teaching them techniques that control negative thoughts and turn them into thoughts that motivate performance. There are other ways to activate a feeling of confidence that differ from listening to motivational music and repeating positive affirmations, which is looking at pictures. For example, in the Gary Latham Library at the University of Toronto, there is a picture hanging with the phrase, "If at first you don't succeed," written underneath. He never imagined that it would be the reason for the success of his job as department head. It put him on the right path because it expresses the importance of beginnings and obtaining final results, even if the beginning was difficult. Daniel Kahneman, Nobel Prize laureate for human cognition, describes it as operating in two different modes, which he calls System 1 and System 2. The first system works quickly and automatically with little effort and without any sense of control. The second system directs attention to stressful mental activities. For example, giving a presentation with a routine helpful opening is a System 1 activity. The second system is what happens when you give a presentation that requires a lot of thinking and auxiliary data. From here, Kahn advises avoiding excessive thinking and relaxing before the presentation. Chapter 6. Some medications help improve the mood and calm the mind before any difficult task. When we think of performance-enhancing drugs, our minds immediately go to celebrity athletes who use banned substances to build muscle and speed up recovery. But they are not the only ones. Surgeon Mark McLaughlin drinks a lot of caffeine before surgeries to maintain his energy. And a Yelp sales team consuming a Red Bull energy drink in the middle of the afternoon. Studies have shown that consuming caffeine regularly increases alertness and cognitive functions and improves energy levels. The evidence is that many people cannot start working if they do not start their day with a cup or several cups of coffee. Since the 1930s, researchers have noticed that stimulants have a good effect on schoolchildren. By the 1960s, pharmaceutical scientists had now created 2 vitamins. It is the first cognitive enhancer widely used by healthy people to help them think better for long periods. Although doctors have confirmed that it has negative side effects that lead to addiction or death, many people still use it. Jazz musicians took it to enable them to live longer. Author Jack Kerouac consumed it for 3 weeks while writing his book On the Road. A notable paragraph from the book. Most of the chapters in this book are about exciting yourself, but there comes a moment in life that is not about us, but about the people we lead, and we can't do it for them. We can teach them, encourage them, urge them, and convince them, but the outcome is in their hands. In the last moments, all we can offer is motivational talk. Conclusion. I hope this book will motivate you to make some adjustments to your pre-performance routine as well, and I hope it will help you find a technique that works for you, such as the reappraisal technique, emotional talk, music, reading books, or listening to a previous interview on TV. For example, maybe you will be inspired by an image like the one that inspired my neighbor. Maybe you prefer music during your workouts at the gym, or earplugs when you need quiet while writing or reading. Always remember that there must be a lot of focused practice. Feeling excited gives you a little boost and an extra advantage. You can also resort to some medications or harmless substances, which help you achieve the highest levels of concentration.